For that. Joining us now, former Director of National Security Agency, retired Lieutenant General William Odom. Thanks much for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you.
You testified to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee last week that surge in Iraq has actually prolonged instability, is still doing so. You advocated a rapid withdrawal and orderly withdrawal of U.S. troops. Did you hear anything from General Petraeus or Ambassador Crocker today that might change your mind?
I heard them make a few concessions that reinforced my judgment on this. And I was impressed that an increasing number of senators are asking more pointed and specific questions. They let them get off the last time with no grilling at all. The major media in this country have also, I think, failed to report a lot about what's going on in Iraq. True, there have been drops in violence, but they didn't look at what the consequences of that were, and they didn't look at the politics of that. If they looked at the politics, they'd see more fragmentation, a weaker government, and a much more hopeless situation than a year ago.
General Odom, the administration is once again asking the American people to wait throughout a long spring and a long summer until another September for even just a possible decision on withdrawing U.S. troops. Never mind the politics or the rightness of that or the long-term advisability of that. Is the troop level sustainable for the U.S. military? Is a virtually open-ended stay in Iraq a physical possibility for our troops?
Well, I haven't believed it would be for the last 2 or 3 years. What's most interesting is recently the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army said precisely that, and also General Casey has said that, the Chief of Staff of the Army, that this is just not sustainable. And we're really brutalizing our troops, calling it supporting the troops. We do have the option to not brutalize them, but we continue to do it.
And the general you mentioned was, of course, encouraged to retire after expressing that opinion. Both General Petraeus and Ambassador Crocker today kept pointing only to instances, almost to events representing progress in Iraq. Since they're so involved in the day-to-day management of what's happening there, because they are representatives of this administration and this president, are they unwilling, do you think, or perhaps are they unable to step back and look at a bigger picture to assess whether the overall strategy of the Bush administration is actually working there?
I suspect if they weren't there, they could. But given where they are, they've got to pipe that tune or quit. If you take the bigger picture, the first thing Americans should know is that the government that eventually rules Iraq is not in the green zone now. It's not the Maliki government. When we affiliate ourselves with a faction, it's already in trouble with the Iraqi people or some other faction. The one that rules this country is the one that can win a civil war among several warring sides, and that's not going to come soon. We don't have the troops to stay out there.
We've heard, of course, several times again today about Iran, as we always do when Iraq is brought up. Do you think maybe we have been misreading this entire Iran drumbeat? Is the point of the constant murmur about Iran falsely claiming that there's a connection to al-Qaeda in Iraq and the like, is the point of that not a precursor to attacking Iran, not saber-rattling, but could it be an end to itself? Is Iran simply the new name of the excuse to stay in Iraq?
It reminds me of when Nixon and Kissinger widened the war in Vietnam in 1970 and 71, caused it to last 20,000 casualties longer than it needed to. They were elected with a mandate to get out. They chose to widen it instead. This has great resemblance to that. What's really happened is by threatening the regime change in Iran, we've given them a lot of incentives to cause us trouble there. And the so-called Lebanization of Iraq by Iran is actually due to our presence, giving Iran that opportunity.
If we wanted to recreate the Vietnam experience in the 21st century, it appears we have done so. The retired Lieutenant General William Odom joining us tonight from New Haven, Connecticut. General Odom, our great thanks. Good night.
Thank you.